fellow small business supporters, it's Savvy. Welcome back to Savvy Writes Books. First of all, please excuse the disarray of my office. I know it's a little messy right now because over here I'm doing some photo shoots for the Forever Home Friends. I built some like 18-inch doll scale furniture for these plushies to hang out with. I made them go on little puppy love dates for Valentine's Day. It's so cute. If you don't know, Forever Home is the small business I run that produces children's books, plushies, toys, and it's all based on real rescue dogs and their journeys to adoption. If you want to get updates or pup dates on all the cute stuff going on with Forever Home Friends, please check out my description below where I have a link to sign up for my email list. Today I have a video I'm really excited about because I'm collabing with Alanda from the channel The Recovering Hunbot. Now, I found the Recovering Hunbot's channel a long time ago, like before I even knew anyone else in the anti-MLM community. When I found her channel, I maybe had made like one anti-MLM video, and I had also been, getting involved in the community on Reddit, reading a lot of things about this movement, but I hadn't started like committing to making a ton of videos about it yet. And when I found her channel, I was so impressed with the level of research in her videos, with how deep she dives into the history of each company she dissects and talks about. By the way, her channel is linked in the description below. Please subscribe to The Recovering Hunbot because her work is just fantastic. We are going to explore business guru courses today. Alanda from The Recovering Hunbot told me what she does professionally is designing online coursework. She is the person who creates the curriculum for an online class or for online training for companies and things like that. She actually has a master's degree in this, and this is her professional line of work. On this channel, I often complain about how courses online are taking over the world of writers and how like writers will sometimes want to get their book out there, but everything out there's a course. You want to learn more about running your own business, and Grant Cardone's over here trying to sell you expensive ass courses on every single step of the way. And then a lot of times the courses aren't even really that substantial. It's often just kind of a get rich quick scheme on the business guru's part. So when I taught, she reached out to me about this after she saw the video that I did about Rachel Hollis's course. Like when I did that, I'll link it up in the cards, but I did a video a little while ago where after I pre-ordered her book, didn't see that coming, I did, like the book came with a free course. Wasn't really free because you got it from pre-ordering the book. Pretty much everything in it was repeated in the book, and it wasn't really designed like a class. It was really just a video. So I think calling it a class was a little bit disingenuous. And when Alanda video, she was basically like, there is so much wrong with calling this a course because there was no course objective, there was no way to do assessment, there was no like learning goals stated, there was no interaction, like there was just a lot wrong with how it should work with online learning. So I was like, we should do a collab on this. So in a few minutes, what we're gonna do is we're going online to react to some business guru courses. We are going to take a look at courses by Grant Cardone. We're going to take a look at some of the courses offered with Self-Publishing School. I did a video about a couple weeks ago critiquing Self-Publishing School and how kind of scammy it is. And then we're going to look at some of Rachel Hollis's courses as well. So we're going to look at some business guru courses today. While we do that, I'm going to be interviewing Alanda about her professional experience in this and how she would have done it different. Before we do that though, first I have to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is the Gray and Gold Podcast. Linked in the description below, you will find the Gray and Gold Podcast, which is available on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of them. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can listen to the Gray and Gold Podcast, which is a dialogue and interview-based podcast run by RK Gold, who is an author and music reaction channel, and Graydon Square, who is an indie rapper. The two of them are fantastic together. They get into some really in-depth discussions about important topics, and they do some really interesting interviews that talk about a variety of topics from entrepreneurship to fantasy sports to like psychedelics to like metaphysical stuff about the universe. Like they just cover it all, and I could listen to the two of them talk all day. Check it out. And then this video is also brought to you by my Patreon supporters. They are up here on the screen. You will find all of their pages linked in the description below for Patreon supporters that are $5 a month and up. Take a look at their link. Thank you so much to all my Patreon supporters for continuing to support this channel and for making this possible. Now let's get in to some business guru roasting.
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should pick up lesbianism.
Chicago.
You guys asked for it.
Hey, Chewie.
I love that name.
Aw, good boy.
What a
Oh,
cute
yes. Are you going to
pie.
hang out in here?
I'm really glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited to do this with Alonda specifically because she is like professionally, she does like course design for online learning professionally. And I've always said in my videos, like, I don't have anything against the concept of online courses. I have something against this like oversaturation of them where everyone thinks that if you become an entrepreneur, now you need to teach an online course when not everyone is a teacher. Like if you're good at sales, that doesn't mean you're good at teaching. And so we're just going to talk about courses, and I really want to get some of your expertise on what really goes wrong with a lot of these. You want to just like introduce yourself? I feel like we have a lot of crossover in our audiences, but just in case there's anyone who doesn't know your channel yet.
Sure, I'm Alonda. I'm the recovering Hunbot, and I was sucked into Beachbody. Yay, don't do it. Just really don't. I am professionally trained. I have a master's in instructional design, and I've designed and developed training for a really long time. I'm also a former classroom teacher. I've taught 3-year-olds through college, and
Wow.
I've designed training, be it for large oil companies, for the U.S. Army, just process safety, just all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And now I do something which people may or may not know that they have this where they work. But if you have kind of like an internal Google where it has all these documents and stuff, that's a knowledge base, and that's what I do now is I manage all the structuring of everything. But
That's
you also
cool.
have to like how you write it and the way it presents. That's all part of people being able to encode stuff in their little noggin.
Awesome. Everyone should check out, I will link in the description below, the Recovering Hunbot. Her channel is fantastic. It goes really in depth with a lot of research about like different MLM companies and the history behind them. And there's just always so many sources. You know how I care about citing sources. She's always got the sources and the research to back it up. So I think her channel is super educational. I highly recommend it. For anyone who doesn't know what the career of instructional design is, what are the main components that the job of instructional design entails?
Well, I'll start with kind of a little bit of history about it. Back in World War II, we needed to train a whole bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
That's how instructional design came about. It was like, okay, we need to come up with a way that is basically there's a roadmap that you can follow to be able to put together sound instruction and train people. Most people who are in the field of instructional design, they know the acronym ADDIE. It's Analyze, Design, Develop, Implement, and Evaluate. And it's like just different phases. There's a whole bunch of models, and I'm not going to bore people with the different models of instructional design, but it really starts with figuring out one, like because you're in a training department, somebody will decide like, oh, well, we need this course. And a lot of times you don't necessarily need a course. Maybe what you need is a job aid. Maybe what you need is like the piece of equipment's in a weird place, so you can, reconfigure things. But people tend to say, oh, we need training. And so overall, as an instructional designer, you design and develop training, and you work with what's called a subject matter expert, SME, and that's the person that you extract the information from and figure out how to put it together. And SMEs usually or often in companies act as the instructor. But just because, like in what you said earlier, Savvy, just because you know the content doesn't mean you can disseminate it. And I'm going to give you a quick example. I was at a training session way back when, and it was when I was working for one of the oil companies, and somebody was doing training who is like an engineer or something. We had nothing other than to listen to this person for like what seemed like forever. And we did our evaluation because typically you should do an evaluation. And I wrote all this stuff down, and that person figured out who I was. And she asked me, well, did you remember anything? I'm like, no, because I wasn't actively involved in it.
Yeah.
Just, and that's a lot of the problem with these courses is that you're not actively involved. You're not getting practice and feedback.
That's a problem I find a lot too. And I've done some reviews on Business Guru courses. I haven't taken most of them because they cost money. But from what I've I've interviewed people who have taken some of them. I did take Rachel Hollis's course on rebuilding after tragedy, which we'll talk about that one as well, because that one was a mess. But the most recent course, I think I can pull up some information about this, because the most recent course I reviewed on my channel, which at the time that we're filming this, the video premiered yesterday, and it was about a course called Self-Publishing School. And this one bothered me a lot because I'm an author, and I think the self-publishing movement is incredibly important for getting diversity in voices and stories out there. But the problem is that you get business gurus who are like, I can get you to a #1 bestseller spot on Amazon if you pay me this amount of money, and I teach you how to manipulate the algorithms, and I'll teach you how to make an amazing book. But the course ends up being like completely useless, like information that you could have found online for free.
They're always such a train wreck. And the problem I have is I often see these courses where someone's going to teach you how to create a course online.
Oh my God.
And
a course to teach you how to make a course. And then that becomes the pyramid again. Because
their background is marketing. And it's like, okay, that's one part of something is to market. You're an expert in marketing. You're not an expert in how people learn and how to put things together so that they learn. And honestly, they don't care about that part.
This is something I was thinking about when I reviewed the Rise conference a couple weeks ago, because I think a problem that a lot of people get into when they become successful in their field is people who think they're good at sales think they're good at everything. And they think they're good at everything because the results showed that they could sell anything to anyone. So with the Rise conference, Rachel Hollis is giving health advice and marriage advice. She's not qualified to give any of that, but people want to buy it from her because she's good at sales. So therefore, in her mind, it's oh, I must be good at this because people want it from me. But it's you're still good at sales. Sales is still the thing you're good at. And so then it ends up with you end up providing a lot of subpar services to people because you're good at selling them, but you're not good at following through in that other specialized field.
And then what's scary is you get a bunch of testimonials of people saying how amazeballs something was. And they got results, probably they've just been working at something, and so they've gained some skills themselves. And this is a fairly large YouTuber. I remember contacting this person because I liked the concept of the courses she was teaching, and I asked about her evaluation. Her evaluation is how many refunds she's requested. That you can't evaluate course effectiveness from whether or not somebody asks for a refund. There's actually a system of how to do it. I have headed that up. So it's that really annoys me that people use testimonials, which is just like an opinion. Everybody has one, just like they have other things.
Yeah, and it's when you have testimonials, a lot of times the website is only going to feature the positive testimonials, and that's why it's it can be very hard because a lot of these products aren't listed on sites where people do public reviews. A lot of them aren't on Amazon, or they're not on Google or Yelp or something. They're only showing reviews on their website. So that's why I like making YouTube videos where I get to hear people's kind of the other side, the negative reviews, where people are this was actually not a good course. What would you suggest is a good way to evaluate a course's effectiveness?
It really depends. Usually, I don't know, you may or may not have been to something like this where you go to a training and they give you, it's called a smile sheet. It's level 1. There's 4 levels of evaluation. The 4th one is connecting it to return on investment, and usually nobody can really get there. But at least with a level 1, you're able to find out whether or not certain things were met, they met people's expectations. It depends on how things are phrased. When I design a level 1, I align all the questions to Keller's ARCS, which is motivational theory. ARCS is attention, relevance, satisfaction, and attention, relevance, competence, satisfaction. Yes. Okay, I can spell and I can think at the same time sometimes. but it depends on really how it's written, but you can get something from that. But usually a good way to do it is one thing you can kind of do a pre-test and a post-test. Yeah. But after that, it's really about, are people able to perform this on their own 6 months from now?
Okay.
And has there been a change in behavior? And usually, like in training for corporations, that's what you're looking for. Has there been a change in behavior? Is there improvement in something?
Okay. So it's important to have like a dedicated evaluation. Like you said, someone was judging the course's effectiveness based on, did people want a refund or were they just good with it? And that's very surface level, but you think there always needs to be like a dedicated assessment, whether that's like a survey or something that people fill out at the end.
Well, assessment, people typically think of it, oh, it's going to be a test.
Yeah.
It can be.
Oh,
It
okay.
doesn't have to be. It can be other things. It just depends, but you need to be able to figure out if somebody is able to apply what you have taught them. For instance, okay, when I got my master's in instructional design, 99% of it was online. Everything was project based. And so we had what's called a rubric. I don't know if you're familiar with what a rubric is or not.
Yeah, because I used to teach creative writing workshops for kids.
Okay.
So I'm like familiar. I never designed the workshops though. I would teach them. So I'm familiar with all of this on like the level of the person who was executing it. Yeah.
Okay, well, just for your audience, if you know,
Yeah.
a rubric is generally like, you can get like, hey, this is what you need to do to get an A. This is what you need to do to get like a B. And then, you've really screwed up. And if you don't care, this is what you do. And so, I use that myself. And so we would know going into whatever thing, like what all the criteria was that the professor was looking for. And so it was really up to you to be able to follow that and apply that and how well you applied it. And it was project based. So everything was dependent. It was not a test ever. It was all about being able to apply what you were doing along the way. So that, and then there's also like when I worked for the oil company, a lot of times there's on the job training. And so they'll be like with a mentor. And so you have a new operator come in and they don't know Shinola about, being at a site or anything. So there's going to be something that someone who is seasoned is going to be there to like watch how they do things like log out, tag outers, for example, and be able to kind of like go through a checklist of how well somebody is actually performing.
This is the course that I reviewed on my channel this past week, and I interviewed somebody who had taken it and was not satisfied with it. So, we've got, of course, the testimonials that are only from people who liked it. So here are like the programs, right? And how they're laid out. Let's look at like the Become a Bestseller course right here. So it says... So it's $6,000, which is incredibly expensive, I personally think. And then it talks, so the things it has is like one-on-one tailored coaching, group coaching 5 days a week, lifetime course access, weekly Q&A with Chandler Bolt, who's just a business guru. Like he's not successful in anything outside of selling books about how to sell courses and courses about how to sell books. So I don't really trust him. And then it has like 1 year access to Mastermind Community, which I think is a social media group. And then it says 1,000 in exclusive student discount. I don't know what that means either. But it's okay. Blank page to first draft in as little as 30 days, which as an author, I'm like, well, I've done that before with like NaNoWriMo. I can do a blank page to first draft in 30 days. I've done that before, but if you don't even have like an outline, it's going to be tough. And then, and also to advertise, like you're going to write a book super fast. Like the speed at which you write the book is definitely not going to determine the quality. It's talking about saving hundreds of hours in the process of writing and publishing, Amazon categories, keywords, and descriptions that sells, high quality, successfully published book, sell thousands more copies through our proprietary launch and marketing process, although it explicitly does not include cover design or editing, which is probably the most important things to include for if you're paying for self-publishing services, but of course it doesn't include that. So I know that this is not like a whole lot to go off of, and I can't really get a full course outline without giving them my email address, and I don't want them to have my email address, but what is your initial thoughts on this type of course?
Well, scroll it down again to the bottom of it. Okay, this last part is about sell thousands more copies. It goes back to, you know what they're concerned about you being able to market this book. They don't give a flying monkey's butt whether or not it's quality writing.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like these, courses that people are teaching others to create. It's that. And that's what stands out to me. and it makes the hairs on the back of my neck to stand up.
Yeah.
It seems like, I mean, if you're someone that doesn't know anything about writing and you're wanting to learn how to write and you're wanting to sell, I can see how somebody would look at this and think, oh, okay, this is the ticket, so to speak.
Yeah, like it's gonna teach me all the basics of all the things. Yeah.
Yeah. But that $6,000 is expensive.
Yeah, especially I think the course is like you get like a coaching session every week, and from the person that I interviewed who had taken the course, she said every coaching session she got was about 30 minutes long. And I don't know much about how one-on-one coaching works in courses, but she got a coaching session that was 30 minutes long with each coach. And while the coaches did not read over her writing or offer feedback or anything, the coaches were really just there to for her to ask questions about the publishing process, and the majority of the recommendations they gave her were to buy services that this company has affiliate codes for.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like this before. Now, one of the things that is rubbing me the wrong way, and maybe you know the answer to this, because I'm wondering, do you get the same coach each week, or do you get someone new? Or there are several different coaches that you could get, and it's not always the same one.
I don't know, but from what I've heard from a couple people commenting on my video and reading some reviews of it, it seems like the coaching job was like being a salesperson for this company and being a coach was the same role. So like your job was to sell the course to people and then to like coach the customer through the process. So it wasn't like somebody made the sale and then someone who was like a writing coach who is really experienced and specialized in writing was the coach. It was like the salesperson was the coach. Right. So it all came down to sales. Yeah.
Well, and something else that's bothering me, and this is also a problem with all of these other courses out there. There's this thing that you do if you're an instructional designer, and I'll be honest with you, professionally, a lot of times this is something that's overlooked, and then I'll back it up, but you kind of still have an idea. There's something called learner analysis. Do they have what you're expecting them to know when they start? And if they don't, what are you going to do to support that, or can you support that? For instance, just like, okay, I'll just use, an operator, in an oil field again. It's going to be, you're going to teach somebody different things like with safety. If it's someone who's experienced versus someone that's brand new. And like with someone who's brand new, you're going to have to go over all of this stuff about the company. You're not going to have to do that with the seasoned person. So, it just really depends. So all of this stuff, my point is, it's all designed for, we're doing it one way and we're shoving everybody in that same little box. And that's not an effective thing, because people should have, just like when you go to college, you take, intro to psych before you take like abnormal psych. You got to get a foundation. So you've got to get something where you know what you're expecting them to already know and to be able to do on their own. Because if you don't have all of that laid out, there's going to be a lot of people falling through the cracks. But again, they don't care about that. All they care about is making sales.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Exactly. That's how this really came off to me, because the person I interviewed was a fairly experienced writer. Like, she hadn't published any books, but she was good at writing already. So like the very basic level writing stuff was not what she needed. She needed to know more about the publishing process, but the course only covered the same stuff that the publishing process is covered. Like when you look at Amazon's resources about that too. So it's like, it's all just like very surface level in each area because it's using a broad brush kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's the problem, is that, you can't, if you are good at doing instructional design and figuring out all of this stuff, that's what you don't do. It's unfortunate that there's so many of these things. So online learning, like I said, I got my second master's, online at university. It's great if it's designed well. If it is a crappy design, it's not a good experience, and people waste so much money going off of these people who are all these experts. And honestly, you could go to like great courses, Skillshare, Udemy. You could go somewhere cheaper, watch YouTube videos, get a book, take a course at, a community college versus all of these supposed gurus.
That's how I see it. Yeah. And I think that I don't know why there's such a focus on, I guess the reason there's a focus on courses is when you present something as, oh, it's like a college class, you can charge thousands of dollars for it. So, and people will think that that's okay. Versus like, I don't know why people, if you have knowledge about something and you want to just share it to everyone far and wide without having to take into account each individual person, like, why don't you just like do a live stream or like make a video or write a book? Like, I'm not a business course expert. Like, I don't know how to teach courses. I mean, I've taught some, and I've considered like making something for Skillshare and things like that, but I would never make a big course and charge people a lot of money for it, because like, I wrote a book about my experience in business and people can read that and learn what I did. And then if it doesn't work for them, they can read someone else's book and learn about what they did. But I feel like when you're presenting it as a class, that's when it's like, it's supposed to be about the students learning as opposed to about the expert sharing their knowledge. Because if you're just sharing your knowledge in a one-way communication, as opposed to getting, like, you could just do that through a video or through a book or something where the communication goes one way. And I think a lot of these gurus host a course where the communication, it still seems like someone's just throwing information at you. And of course, I feel like needs to be more interactive than that.
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest problems that I have with a lot, how we've gone to such an online model for it to be like, well, everybody's going to take an online course, even in the corporate world, because, I just fall asleep in them because I'm just like, click next, click next, click next. I mean, I'm just trying to get to the end. To really help people learn something, they've got to be actively involved. They've got to be doing something, and they need that feedback. They need that back and forth. Now, what we have done, like where I work, because you can't do, face-to-face instruction now. So now it's like, webinars through Zoom. And, and I hate how some people use webinars because they use it, I call them seminars, is actually you can use this as an instructional tool. And so we've had to, and I've worked with some of the instructional designers, take what would be done face-to-face, and now how do we modify and change this to make it work for this new environment?
Right.
It's not the same.
So over here, we're on Grant Cardone's website. My favorite person, my favorite guy, Grant Cardone. Here's some of his courses that he has.
Oh, yeah.
Here's one called How to Create Multiple Flows of Income. And he breaks down like what you'll learn, right? Learn why you don't have the income you need, how to create more, how to establish the right thought process, how to take the right level of action, identify the lies that are holding you back, define your 10x income goals, kick the excuses holding you back to the curb. So this, to me, my non-professional opinion, seems like a very vague course description. Like, he doesn't, until I have to click like get access, which I assume if I click get access, he's going to make me give him, I have to, it's $97. It's $97 and I have to give him my email address. But what he's not saying here is whether he's going to give me feedback, if I'm going to talk to him one-on-one, if I'm going to submit my work to him and he's going to give me his opinion on it, or if he has teachers that he works with, or like, I guess TAs or something like that, like other people in his company who are going to give personalized feedback to each person. If I'm going to talk to, like, he doesn't go over what's going to actually happen. It just says that these are things that it will go over, and he wants me to pay him $97. So that's my first reaction. What are you thinking?
Well, when I read all of that, it's like, it still doesn't tell me what I'm going to learn because there's no instructional objective.
Yes.
I don't know what I should be able to do when I walk away on my own and perform it by myself. I don't know.
So you think before someone sells the course to you, they need to make the instructional objective clear?
Well, at least the course goal, because there can be a course goal, but then you break the goal down into the objectives, which is aligned to the content, which is aligned to the assessment. All three of those have to be aligned together. And then, you got to get that feedback and you got to do that evaluation, because one of the things, I love this, my very first course in instructional design, the evaluation was at the professor's house, and we had a potluck dinner. and he wanted to get feedback from all of us about like what worked and what didn't work. And so it was great. And so then he went and looked at the course and be like, okay, what do I need to change so that it's better for the next people? And that's what all of these people fail to do, is that evaluation, to go back, look at it, and make it better, because they want evergreen, can't talk, evergreen, that they make it once and boom, it's done, and now it can just be out there forever, never have to address anything. And for them, they don't, because they don't deal with the people at all. They let people just be on little islands instructing self with their content, and they have no idea if people are lost, have questions, or able to do it. They don't care. They just move on and do the next thing.
That's a problem I think I found too, is that like people are treating courses as if they're a product that can replicate. Like, for example, I can put up an ebook and I don't have to print new ebooks. I don't have to whatever. People can just buy them on Amazon. They get my ebook, whatever. The problem I think is that people start treating courses that way, where it's like, I just set up this course and then I never have to do anything again because people just download it. But I feel like the problem is that, again, that's something where you should just put up a video or put out a book or something where it is a one-way form of communication, because calling it a course implies that it's going to be more interactive than that. And the whole like set it and forget it system isn't really effective for that.
It's really not. But, I go back to like the corporate design, the click next and text. I don't know if you've seen like online things like that. A lot of times it's compliance courses, and it's very boring. It's stuff that's on the screen. I mean, and I have designed and developed that type of stuff. I've also tried to put in some like serious game elements as well, like if I could, and like it depending on what it was. But it doesn't have that interactive quality of where you're practicing something, you're engaging with other human beings, and you're feeling like, you're actually encoding it. It's very passive is the point. You're just like, okay, there it is. And it's the same thing if you're just watching a video like Rachel's course, you're just watching something. Okay, and so?
What do you think about the concept then of self-study courses? Because I see business gurus, and I even see sometimes other authors putting out self-study courses where it's like, with this course, you will get my 10 video series on this and the downloadable workbook to go along with it. And then you buy that and, that's about it. And there's no really there's no one-on-one teaching. It's the self-study course. What are your thoughts on those?
It's the same thing. You're doing this in isolation, and they have no idea of knowing whether or not somebody is actually able to do anything with the content they put together. They're just presuming that I've given you what you need, but you've never gotten any feedback about how effective that is. So that's problematic, because the thing is, human beings, we're brilliant creatures, because there's going to be people, even the crappiest course in the world, there will be someone who will be able to perform and do things based on that crappy course, because they'll figure it out. Then there's other people that are like, they just give up, and then they feel like they're some kind of a loser. It's because they're not able to do anything and they've spent this money, and it's simply not true. It's like often the quality is just lacking.
Yeah, when I think about so I enjoy sites like Skillshare, and I feel like calling them classes is almost like just counterproductive, because I feel like on Skillshare they're more like tutorials, if that makes sense. And I used to watch. I had like a free trial of Skillshare, and I watched some other authors give their like video series on book marketing and then I'd watch like some people talk about learning 3D modeling, because I was learning that at the beginning of 2020. And then I'd watch people talk about how to market things on social media, because I wanted to learn other people's thoughts on that. But it never felt like a class really, because I didn't talk to the teacher at all, or I didn't get any feedback on my work. So it felt more like just long form tutorials, which I don't think there's a problem with that. I think they're great. And I like that, on Skillshare, like you can subscribe and get everything or something like that. And that's kind of nice. So I don't have a problem with that site, but I think that it's kind of weird that they're called classes.
Well, I mean, I just think that's kind of like the vogue thing to say. And it goes back to these people who are teaching others to create classes. usually they push the LMS, learning management system, that they use, like Teachable or something, because usually they have an affiliate code, and that may or may not work for that person. I mean, there's just so many problems I have with these people teaching others to create courses, to create more courses and more courses, but yet you still don't know if it's quality, and there's nothing and there's no regulation in any of it. And I just think it ends up being problematic. Now, like Skillshare, I don't have a problem with Skillshare. I think you can go there and find a lot. I've actually been thinking of joining because there's certain things that I want to learn about. And what I like about it is I can pause it and like look at some stuff.
When we're talking about this, there's not really like a hard line of like, these courses are good and these are bad. It's more like you got to analyze them case by case and try to figure out, like, so like, even though on Skillshare it's just videos, the fact that it's not super expensive and you get access to a wide variety of things from a lot of people.
Overall, I would say if you're being charged thousands of dollars for a course by someone who, like, I don't know, a photographer or what doesn't matter what they are, I kind of step back from that and be like, is there somewhere else that I can learn things from? Do I need to learn this from this person? And I'd go to Skillshare. I'd go to, what is it, Great School or something. I don't know. Chris Shelton always talks about it, but I can't ever remember what it's called. Lynda.com, which now is like LinkedIn stuff, and there's a lot of things over there. There are some places that you can go and, get good content. And again, YouTube. There's a lot of people putting information out on YouTube. It's free.
Last thing I have is Rachel Hollis's life coaching courses. And there's a video with this, so we'll check it out. But I was looking at the prices, and it looks like the course in total is $450, or you can buy them like the topics individually for $50. Which is weird because a lot of these are things that I don't think she's an expert in. I don't know if she hires someone else. We'll have to see. So I was going to check out the video about it with you. And then we can also talk about when I did take her free 1-hour course, which had no information in it. But yeah.
How do we thrive during this chaotic season? The answer to every issue in your life is a habit. You can start with where you want to go. Maybe it gives you some idea on what you should be doing today. Your nutrition is really a key to having a life that you want.
Okay, so based on that video, what are your thoughts? I mean, we'll look further on what the courses offer, but what are your thoughts on her courses and intentions with this, I guess?
Well, it's not good.
It didn't look good to me because I was like, wait, it is you that's teaching the nutrition course, and you are not a nutritionist or a dietitian. You are just a motivational speaker, which there's nothing wrong with being a motivational speaker, but like, don't pretend that you're also a dietitian.
Yeah, I see it and it's like, wow, I can see Huns being attracted to it, It's like, because it uses that same language, the personal development language, the law of attraction, that is with the intention in all of this of basically designing your best life. And that to me now is just, it makes me want to run and hide. I see that stuff and it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's all about, that her making the buck. I don't know if she really is there for people to improve their life.
Yeah, so when it breaks down how the courses work, it says for each class you'll have access to a 2-hour class video, a 15-page downloadable with actionable. Okay, so she didn't even like proofread this 15-page downloadable what? I assume it's like a downloadable document, but like she didn't say that. And then a portal with classes and classes on your computer. Okay, so nowhere, it says interactive up here, but I don't see, this doesn't sound interactive.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay,
what's the tactical takeaways?
You walk away with knowledge in a subject. That's very specific of you. Practical tools and tips, very specific. A resource list. Okay, but like you could find a resource list for free because it's other resources that you'd have to buy. And guidance from a world-class coach, but like none of this is specific. Like I still don't know what I would learn from it.
That's all marketing speak.
Yeah. It's like, have you watched the show BoJack Horseman?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it was a cartoon on Netflix, but some of this reminds me of, like, there's this joke on the show where there's this kid who's pretending to be an adult, and he calls himself Vincent Adult Man, and it's really him standing on top of another kid wearing a trench coat to look tall. And everybody except, like, the main character, everyone else is convinced that he's an adult, and he's like, how can you not see that this is a kid pretending to be an adult? But what he always says, he's like, okay guys, I gotta go off to work now at the business factory. So whenever I see things like this, I'm like, oh, this is going to work at the business factory.
Yes, yes. And that's it. People are pretending that they can teach you something. And they may have knowledge in that thing, but that doesn't mean that they have put anything together in a way that you are going to be able to do something with it, you know? I mean, I can show you one of my course outlines it was from a long time ago, like something that I've created. And it lets you know exactly what's going to go on. It's like, this is what's going to happen in this course, and it's before the course is actually written.
Yeah, so none of these like, let me see if I click on one. Let's talk about health. Like, she's not a doctor, so I'm already skeptical. But, like, if I click on this, so, okay, $50 for this health course. You would buy it right here. So this is all the information you have before you buy it, which is that, okay, well, at this time it says downloadable PDF. Primarily, she just said downloadable.
Yeah.
She's like, you have a downloadable to use this. I think she meant PDF. Some girl, get an editor. So it's about her code.
Well, there's so many limiting beliefs for us when it comes to what we think our body is physically capable of. Today, I want to unpack that. I want to talk about why we believe what we believe and what are the things that we can do to get around that. The best thing that I know of for both of us is habit. A habit that you do not break, you do every single day, no matter what.
This is a one-time non-refundable class purchase. So you're screwed if you're not happy. Doesn't matter. You know, doesn't matter. So we got your money. And up at the top of the health.
Yeah, there's, like you said, there's no learning objective listed. It's not like this course is going to teach you, I guess it's like supposed to teach you how to develop healthy habits, but that's really, like, that's still very vague. It's like, this course will teach you how to like, by the end of this course, you should know how to do XYZ. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's nothing like that. And, you know, objectives don't necessarily have to be written like that, and typically they are. There can be kind of like a little story to it and written in a way that is more, you know, palatable, because honestly, objectives are really for instructional designers to know what the hell is it that, you know, people should be able to do. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
It's your guidepost. But still, if somebody, because I'm one of those people, because I'm a geek like that, if I take a course, the first thing I look at is like, what are the objectives? And then I'm judging the objectives of how well they're written. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense, though, because, like, that's the problem I see with a lot of these courses is I don't know, like, what I will learn. Like, I can watch the video and be like, okay, she's talking about how our bodies can do a lot of things, and also we need to get some exercise sometimes and develop healthy habits. But, like, that's like all just common knowledge. So I don't know what I'm really going to learn in this. And it seems like it's really like all you get is she gives you a 2-hour video and a PDF. So yeah. There doesn't seem to be, like, in the video, she shows herself interacting with people, but that won't happen in real life because that was pre-filmed, and, like, you'll just get the video online. So that all just, like, I feel like there's not much class involved in this. This is just a video. So the one, like, course of hers that I took was the one I did the video on. She was offering, if you pre-ordered her book, she gave you a 1-hour free course to go along with it. So I pre-ordered the book, got the 1-hour free course. I'm like, was it worth it? Because I still get emails from her all the time now because I got on the email list. But I think it was because I made good ad revenue on that video that I made about it. So I think it was worth it. But I took the course, and what I found really weird about it was the whole time, like, I think she thought she was teaching things because she was at the whiteboard and she was writing things down, and she would say, okay, turn to this page on your PDF and look at these questions, and now take 5 minutes to write down the answers. So like, to an extent, there was some instruction going on, but it also didn't feel like there was a whole lot to it. Like, I definitely wouldn't have paid $50 for that. I wouldn't have paid anything for that course. Like, I didn't feel like there was any useful knowledge in it. So what were your thoughts on that course when I kind of went all the way through it in the video?
What was the point?
Yeah.
Just like, what are you going to walk away and be able to do? And it's like, I didn't see anything. It was like, it felt very fluff, very, very surface.
And that's kind of the thing, is like, because when I then went on to read the book that the course came with, the book had the exact same information in it as the course did. So it's like, why didn't you like, I guess the course, I can't really complain because it didn't cost any extra other than my email address, which is definitely what it was actually for. It was meant to be a lead magnet. Like, I can tell that. But yeah, it's like, this material doesn't make sense as a course. This material is a book. For some takeaways for anyone watching this video, what are some things that, like, if someone wants to learn more about a topic and they're like, okay, I want to learn about online marketing, or I want to learn about how to write a book, or I want to learn about whatever, and they search online for some courses about it because we're in a pandemic, you can't go to the library and take classes anymore. So if you do that, what are some things, like, what are some of the big red flags people should look for that'll be like, okay, this is not going to be worth my money, versus like, what should people look for to say, okay, this course might actually be useful?
That's really hard to say.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there is a blanket statement for any of that without being able to look at all of it. I think it goes back to, I don't want anybody to be overcharged, especially right now during a pandemic. Look to Skillshare. What can you find there? Look to great courses. What can you find there? Look at LinkedIn Learning. What can you find? Like some tried and true, even like Udemy and stuff. Look at some places that have that low barrier type entry to get something that can give you some information. And I mean, hello, Amazon. There's like some books where you can go read what people have said. I think you can get like information from multiple places, one of those courses, a couple of books, some videos on YouTube, and kind of put the pieces together yourself and see what works for you. But I would say the biggest red flag is the high price tag, because they tend to tell you something about having that high ticket item.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the high ticket. That's
ticket.
Like Dan Locke loves to talk about the high ticket. Yeah.
And that high ticket is a big bowl of BS, I mean, because, a college course doesn't cost what a lot of these are, and you get far more from it. I would also say, if you do have a community college or a college around you, look at where are some places you can go, and especially if it is associated with a college or a university or something. It's like, you have someone to talk to. It's called the professor and the other students, even if it's online. But I would say, look to other sources. Move away from any of those like sponsored ads coming up in your social media feed. Run away, far away, ignore that stuff, and start looking at, I go back to Skillshare too, because it's such a great catalog of a lot of different stuff. Broaden your circle of influence. If there is, like, for instance, if you wanted to learn marketing, let's just pick that. I'm sure there's people in your local area that know about marketing. I'm sure there's some kind of groups, be it like Slack, LinkedIn. There's going to be places where these people hang out. Or you can even ask online who has a background in this. Now, of course, you got to be careful that those Huns are going to sneak in there and try to sell you essential oils. But, there's going to be people that you can ask them for, like, hey, well, what would you recommend? And, and then if it ends up going down some silly little tunnel that you don't want to go down, ignore it and move on to the next thing.
Yeah. I'll plug this real quick because this isn't even a paid thing, but if anyone is interested, I have linked in the description of all of my videos, my Women in Business Facebook group that people can join. That group is Right now it's 100 and something people. It's not very big, but it's a group of women who are entrepreneurs, and even there are a couple men in the group, so men can join too. It's not gender exclusive, but the goal of the group is for us to all educate each other and build a community about sharing business tips based on what we've each learned. We could also, everyone there is allowed to promote their own business and share links to what they're doing, and ask questions. And there's a lot of great discussions that happen in there where people say like, oh, I'm looking for how do people learn how to do this thing? Or I'm looking for someone who can do this. Do you know anyone? And we can recommend people to each other. And it's just a great way for us to share knowledge. So if you want a free resource of people just kind of talking to each other and working through the entrepreneurship process together, in the description below, just join my Lady Business Owners Facebook group. But you have to, a lot of people don't answer the questions, and I can't approve people who don't answer the questions because I need to make sure that there's no MLM pitches in there. Because too many women in business Facebook groups and too many like small business and craft fair and vendor type groups get overrode with like the MLM pitches. So I have like 3 questions where it's like, what kind of business are you starting? Do you promise to be respectful of everyone? And do you agree not to post MLM pitches, and that if you do, your post will get removed? And then people, once they've seen that and agree to it, I approve you into the group.
Now that's pretty simple. And see, and that's a perfect place to go and pick the brains of other people. I mean, whenever it comes to like business, when I bring that up, I always talk about like your channel, because it's like, you are who comes to mind, because
Thanks.
It's so valuable of like, the information you put out, and it's so valuable to get it from someone who I believe and who I know is not here to just pitch to people to buy their poop,
Yeah.
Because so often that's what everything is. It's like all about leading people to buy their poop. And it's like, I mean, it doesn't have to always be about that.
Right. Yeah. And I think there's a lot to be said for like, it's important to focus on sales, but when you focus on things outside of it too, it tends to lead to more sales just because you're broadening so much. Like when I started focusing on making YouTube content, that helped my Forever Home Friends business make more sales, because I was now meeting and reaching new people online that I didn't have the time to get to all those people in person, because, you only have as many hours in a day to talk to every person one-on-one. So when I've gotten to meet new people on YouTube, like through the internet, and meet a ton of people at once, that's been helpful to that. And it's like, the channel, I always do mention it, but the channel is not like all just videos about buy this. It's, about other things, but then people learn about it from that. So yeah, if you focus on things other than selling, and I guess that gets into content marketing, but yeah, that tends to help everything in the long run.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And then it's ringing in my ears, and it comes from MLM about adding value. But honestly, that's what you do, is you're adding value to people's lives and becoming a part of your life by putting content out on YouTube, and people, find it, and, they connect with people and stuff. And I mean, I have fun doing it.
I love doing YouTube videos. It's the best. I'm so glad there's an anti-MLM community, because I've been wanting to make videos. Like, I started off being just a book review channel, and I wanted to make videos for so long about like exposing pyramid schemes and stuff, because this was like just since I had, issues at craft fairs with my own business, and I had that one bad experience where I went to an MLM interview and like all this stuff, I had just gone so far down the rabbit hole of like how predatory these companies are. And then like I was seeing other people start to make videos about this, and I was like, there's a community for this. And then I was just like, it was awesome, because I met Monica, and then I met you, and I had been watching both of your guys' videos before I even met you guys. So when I did, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I can be a fan of yours and a friend. Like, this is just awesome. I love it.
It's so interesting, because the people, the content creators, they're on all different social media platforms and stuff, but we're also different. And some people are more into like the education. Some people come at it from a different angle. There's room for everybody, as long as people just aren't being, mean to someone and tearing people down. Because, if I do a reaction, it's always about the behavior, the structure, and, and a lot, I point out all the same janky MLM jargon that they keep saying. That this is horrible stuff. Because you hear the same things over and over and over again. And the more that I do it, it's like, it's so frightening to me of how alike they all are. It's like, okay, here's your book of how to do this. And it's like, they're like, what page is this on? Okay, that's what it feels like to me. It becomes so formulaic.
I'm so glad you were able to come on this channel today. Everyone, make sure you subscribe to The Recovering Hunbot. I will link the channel in the description below. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs down if you didn't like it, because hey, I still need the engagement regardless. Leave me a comment and let me know what you thought. Do not forget to subscribe to The Recovering Hunbot. Her channel is linked in the description below, and she is wonderful. I will see you guys again on Sunday when RK and I are going to be streaming for our power hour of writing our book, Cancel Sean Boston. We are now in the editing phase. Draft 1 is complete, which is awesome. So we'll see you then. I'll see you again on Monday for a new video. In the meantime, though, don't forget to support small businesses and have a great Friday. Bye!
Hit you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.